beautiful ones. I'm happy to be here. Yeah. Ignore a part of you that's hurting. Just ignore it and focus on what you want to create and go ahead and create whatever that you want to create, whether it's money, whether it's creating careers or anything. Go ahead and create whatever that you desire, because our past does not define us, right? And today I just want to talk about this whole myth of giving away information, which is motivation and inspiration. And as I always say, it's very good, and I'm one person who did it and does it. But at the same time, I've realized that it can mislead people, because for some people, when you hear that the past does not define us, they just interpreted that the past does not exist. And like I said in the writing that I wrote here, how would it feel like if a part of you that is hurting, you mention it that I'm hurting because a certain thing happened. Even when you go to your parents, whether it's your mother or your father, and you tell them that a part of me is hurting, and they tell you that we are in the now, and right now we're going to create joy and happiness, we're going to create money, so that little boy or that little girl does not exist. Is it really true? Is it true that the little girl that you were or the little boy that you were does not exist? Suddenly, you're just an adult, and that's it. And that's what matters. And that's where you're going to start creating whatever that you create from, because the past doesn't define us. That's a misconception. And this is where I'm showing up, because I just had an interesting conversation with an interesting gentleman who said the past doesn't define us. And he was referring to one story where two people or twins, I know Les Brown likes to talk about this story, where they grew up from where the parents that were drinking and all that, and then the other boy chose to be a drunkard as well, and he blamed it on his parents. And the other boy decided to say, I am going to be successful because of what happened. Did this other person who said, I am going to be successful despite what happened to me, say that part of me does not exist? Or the ones that embracing to say that which I went through created the man that I am, and yes, it doesn't have to define me because I'm greater than that. And what I've realized that is that there is a lot of information that we are being given on a daily basis. We are being bombarded with this information, and at times we get to know depending on the level that we are at. And if we want to defend or whatever, we can defend it by saying that whatever that I'm doing is perfectly fine because I am magnificent, because the past does not define me. And yes, you might be right, but at the end of the day, to what level do you understand that? Because if you are going to tell that little girl or that little boy who has been raped, that little boy or that little girl who has been ignored by their parents because they didn't have time for that, and they're still longing to be loved, and you tell them, shut up, because now is the time for me to make money and you do not exist. Tell me what's going to happen. That little inner girl within you is going to resist whatever that you are trying to do, because that little girl or little boy remembers the ignorance that went through, the abundance, the abandonment that little boy or little girl felt when their parents were busy making money. Because we go around being busy with work and we tell our children that I'm busy, I have to make money, I'm busy, I have to do that, and we are not there to love them as they are longing to be loved. And we go around with this whole thing that I'm making money, and at times it can happen that we are busy with business but we've got nothing to show for it. And at the end of the day, we all know that love is all there is, and there is nothing. You can bring a lot of money at home. If you are not available, that home is not a home, it's just an empty hollow house or whatever. And now you grow up as well, and that little boy or little girl is coming through, that inner child is longing for your attention, to say, is it time for me to come home? Is it safe now for me to be a part of you? Can I come and create whatever that you are wishing to create with you? And you are telling it, shut up. You do not exist, because right now I am here in the now. This is the misconception. This is the myth that when we hear whatever that we hear, we interpret it however that we want to interpret, depending on where we are and what we are ready to let in. The same with self-love, as I always talk about it. I'm just going to give that as an example. That at times we hear people saying, love yourself more, love yourself more. And at times we are in a point where we are so immense in distraction. And because we heard about self-love, we are just telling people that I just love myself and I'm going to care about what I do. The whole thing is, are you loving yourself to distraction or are you loving yourself to healing? And even if you know that the past does not define you, are you listening to that past and embracing it? Are you looking at it and saying, thank you, mom, thank you, dad, because you did not know how to love me better, but I'm willing to love myself better. I know you did not listen to me, but I'm willing to listen to myself, because now I am this great person that I am. I am an adult, and I can provide the safe space for me. Are you willing to look back and say, I forgive you and I embrace the amazingness that you did? Because had it not been for the path that I went through, I wouldn't be an amazing person that I am. I wouldn't have learned what I've learned. One thing that we do not understand is that information does not give us transformation. And if we can go with the knowing, we can get lost in the knowing. And what I'm calling you forth is to embrace that little child. Hear that little child out. If you feel that is too much and you don't know how, raise your hand and seek help. This is what I'm calling you to do, because yes, your past does not define you. It doesn't matter what your parents went through. It doesn't matter if you were poor and there was a lot of poverty when you're growing up. You can create something better. You can do it differently. And you can do it differently by healing yourself, by loving that little boy or little girl, not by telling that little boy or little girl that now you shut up because you do not exist. Because you cannot tell me that you just grew up to be an adult that you are. The little you did not exist. No, it did. It did. And yes, you might know some emotions that you have frozen within you because that was the only way that you are going to let that go. So you just put a blind on it and say, I am not willing to look at this. That was the protective mechanism that came through to save you. Are you not willing to look at that and say, thank you? I was a little boy. I was a little girl. I was very fragile. I was looking up to certain people to give me that which I needed. But you protected me. And yes, the protection might not work right now, but I'm willing to provide that safe space so that now we can grow together and partner together and bring that which we desire into this reality. Are you willing to do that? Or you are willing to go ahead and interpret however you interpret it, even though you realize you do not get the results that you desire? It's our choice. It's our life. If you try so hard, but you realize that you are self-sabotaging yourself, if you try so hard, but you realize that you are hurting within, why do you just have to keep on going that way? Yet there are so many people who are willing to help you. Why are you willing to sort of kill that version of you because it took some pains for you, which were not pains, were just something that was brought into your life? Your soul called that forth so that you can grow through that. Why would you turn a blind eye on it and say you are dead to me? Just because you suffered some pain, just because you remember something that I want to shut off my brain, you do not exist. You are dead to me. Can you imagine if someone says that to you? Because as I'm saying this, I'm remembering and feeling the pain of many who go down to their parents, and because they've done something, or because somehow their soul is expressing itself in a way that is not acceptable, in a way that is not acceptable, because it's like, in the sense that is we look at the normal, which is what is majority doing, in the acceptable, that just because someone is coming in as unique as they are, and then some people would say to their children that you are dead to me, you are not my child. Can you imagine if you are going through that? Now can you imagine how painful it is if you are the one putting yourself through that? Are you willing to listen? This is what I wanted to share with you. Seek help. There is a lot more to experience. There is a lot of more miracles that you can manifest if you are willing to listen to that voice and love it. If you are willing to listen, to look back with a smile, even through tears, and say, thank you. Thank you. Just thank you. Thank you. I didn't know how I could have done it, but you did it in the best way you knew how. I love you. And I'll leave you with that. Bye-bye.